The construction of the prison that was critically featured and condemned in some quarters leading into the 2022 general elections must continue in the best interest of the Citizenship by Investment program, according to Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew. The prison project surfaced during the dysfunctional phase of the Team Unity administration led by Dr. Timothy Harris. When word of the project began circulating, many people questioned its priority, just as the country was emerging from the COVID-19 pandemic and dealing with its consequences. According to then Prime Minister Dr. Harris, the prison project was designed to be funded through the CBI program. When the Skn Newsline Labour Party assumed office, some persons were of the view that the prison project would be stopped. Recently, Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew shed new light on the situation.
We understand with the CBI program, one has to be mindful that if you market a particular product, you just can't in the middle of it switch to anything else. Because people lose confidence, and they can lose confidence in your CBI product as well. It is like you go to a bank and you say, look, I'm going to the bank and I want your money to build a house, and then you're gone on a cruise. So when you market your CBI program, you can't say this is for a public good where we'll build a prison that is needed because that is how it was marketed, because the government prioritized that. And then you go back now and say, look, we have to switch in the middle of that. All those persons who might have had interest would lose confidence in your CBI program and can damage the CBI program. So we want to continue to be persons who are responsible, a government that is responsible. And so we have looked at it very carefully. That is why we are coming up with the measures that were mentioned to implement them to make sure that we strengthen the program so that something like this does not happen again. And that is why we have to make the trip as well to make sure. So the situation with that is that that program, we can't make a direct switch in it, even though we have discussed switching, because what we are going to do is launch the program now to build houses. Houses would be our priority.
According to recent statements coming from official sources, several aspects of the existing CBI legislation will receive amendments in 2023. Months after the general elections in August, the prison project still remains unpopular. Glenn Bart reporting for Skn Newsline.
The Dr. Terence Drew Labour Party administration has restored stability in government for citizens and residents of Skn Newsline. That is the assessment of political analyst Peter Wickham in an interview with Skn Newsline on Monday.
What the Labour Party needed to do was to essentially restore stability to the administration. And I think that definitely they have done. They have introduced some limited measures. They have given promised a double salary for Christmas, which is a standard thing in St. Kitts and Nevis these days. So things like that are important achievements. But I think the most important thing is stability. You know, we saw a situation where a young prime minister has taken over. There were lingering concerns over the extent to which his predecessor in the Labour Party would have played a somewhat less constructive role. Thus far, he seems to have been able to keep the reins of government held fairly tightly, and things haven't gotten out of hand. So I would say that there's a contrast between the instability of the past under the Team Unity administration to the stability of the present, where you use a single solid government under one leader. And there's no rancor or disagreement within the ranks. And I would say that for the time being, that's good enough for Dr. Drew.
In commenting on the performance and leadership style so far of Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew, Mr. Wickham believes his approach is good for the new style of politics the country needs.
I think that St. Kitts politics was far too divisive over the years, far too polarized, and I think it is definitely needed. The fact that Dr. Drew appears to have embraced the path of least resistance, I think it's not a bad thing for Kittitian and division politics, and I wish him well in that regard. As to whether or not it will last, you know, one of the significant things about the Denzel Douglas administration and certainly the Timothy Harris administration is that a lot of the actions that they took when they were under pressure, and in many instances were under considerable pressure politically. In the case of Dr. Drew, he's going to have an interesting time in office because, and I hope that we get to this conversation later, I think the reality is that he has very little reason to fear being out of office for quite some time. He's a young person. There's a lot of time where he can work. And the reality is that opposition forces are not in a position to threaten him now or anytime in the near future. And I think against that background, he can take his time, he can be comfortable, and he can develop his own style of politics. And I think that there are many people in St. Kitts and Nevis who are ready to embrace that type of politics. Initially, that was what Team Unity went on. They went on a kind of gentler politics. If he is interested at all in recapturing some of the persons lost to Team Unity, that strategy makes perfect sense.
The Dr. Drew government completed its first 100 days in office last week, with the Prime Minister outlining the fulfillment of several campaign promises as progress so far in his new administration. The full interview with Mr. Wickham can be heard on Let's Talk St. Kitts and Nevis, a radio show on Voice of the Caribbean Radio this Tuesday at 10 a.m. at www.voiceofthecaribbean.net. Andre Huey, Skn Newsline. The holiday season is approaching, and now is the time to get the message out about your business. Skn Newsline introduces special advertising rates for the Christmas season with our Christmas specials. You can advertise on the Skn Newsline Newscast or send special holiday greetings to the general public with our Christmas greetings on both Skn Newsline and Voice of the Caribbean Radio at affordable prices. Call our marketing department for more information, 665-7496, or email advertising@sknnewsline.com. 'Tis the season to be jolly, so enjoy our Christmas specials at Skn Newsline and Voice of the Caribbean Radio and promote your business the effective way this holiday season. Your vehicle is very important to you. That's why you should ensure it gets the best service and care possible only at IAS Diagnostic Center, located at Bird Rock behind the Life Fitness Center gym. Come to IAS Diagnostic Center for wheel alignment, rotor cutting, AC servicing, wheel balancing, oil filter change, diagnostic, tire repair and sale, tinting, and much more. With top-of-the-line equipment, come to IAS Diagnostic Center in Bird Rock. Opening hours Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Call 767-4422, 662-4416, or 466-6708. IAS Diagnostic Center for quality care of your vehicle.
The SKN Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips. Nestled between evergreen mountains and the Caribbean Sea on the island of St. Kitts is the Millhouse Guest House and Convention Center. With breathtaking views, a rugged, beautiful shoreline, and immaculate manicured gardens make this the perfect location for your holiday, event, or wedding. With a large convention center, apartments with balconies providing stunning views, and a secluded cottage for larger family groups or honeymooning couples looking for some privacy. We have something for everyone. Book your stay at www.millhouseskn.com or visit our Facebook page, the Millhouse Guest House and Convention Center, an oasis of tranquility.
Facilities built at the Robert L. Bratcher International Airport to accommodate arriving passengers during the COVID-19 pandemic are to be removed, according to Minister of Tourism Marsha Henderson, the minister with responsibility for the air and seaports on St. Kitts. The COVID-related facilities included a building constructed on the eastern portion of the aircraft parking apron, where passengers were received before proceeding to do a series of COVID-19 checks inside the airport terminal. Serving no current purpose in the wake of the pandemic, Minister Henderson told Skn Newsline that attempts would be made to remove the physical structures by year-end.
We've made arrangements for some remove. There was a hangar that was there as well for a number of years. We've made arrangements for that to be removed as well. The board, which was recently installed and should be announced shortly, is going to determine who gets the contracts to remove it. And we want to give it time for the new season that's coming up, because we have all the legacy carriers coming back, 5 of them. And so by the end of November, mid-December,
the minister also addressed the issue of the resurfacing of the parking apron in the front of the terminal. The area, getting little maintenance over the years, deteriorated to the extent that the apron is no longer used to park aircraft on arrival.
We're in discussions as well. The minister doesn't make that decision on her own. I have to, liaise with the board, the chair and the chairman of the board. And so we've been in discussions with the new chair to have bids go out for that. What I can say though is that it might be treated as an emergency situation because one of the carriers have threatened to pull their flights from here, and that would be detrimental. And so we may need to treat it as an emergency situation. The cabinet will look into it, and so work is supposed to commence on the apron shortly, and we are sure that it won't affect the operations going forward.
Urgent repairs to the apron were not included in completed projects involving the resurfacing and relighting of the 8,000-foot runway and the reconstruction of Taxiway Alpha. Both projects running into millions of dollars and required for the smooth and safe operations at the airport. Glenn Bart reporting for Skn Newsline.
St. Kitts and Nevis robotics team maintained its top ranking positions in the world, Caribbean and OECS from their participation in the recently concluded first Global Robotics Olympics held in Geneva, Switzerland. St. Kitts and Nevis was ranked first in the OECS, second in the Caribbean from 40 countries, 26th in the world out of 200 countries, and 7th in the worldwide carbon points ranking out of 162 countries. Chairperson of the St. Kitts and Nevis Robotics Association, the SKNRA, Dr. Ricardo Neal, spoke to Skn Newsline Monday about the team's participation in the competition.
As we know, every year we participate in the first Global Robotics Olympics. We started since 2017. So we have been doing it close to 6 years now. We have been participating. So this year we have a team that traveled to Geneva, Switzerland, who competed among close to 200 countries, and the team did extremely well as usual. The team was able to retain its position across the Caribbean region, in the OECS, and on the international front. So that is a good thing. Right. This year we had a female as our team captain, Petrina, who actually led the team, and she did an excellent job.
Or the team members spoke to Skn Newsline about their participation.
My name is Jaheem Matthew. I played supporter in the St. Kitts and Nevis robotics competition. When it comes to building and designing a robot, if anything, we check it and we make sure that everything goes good. If some parts are messed up, then I'll come in and I'll give my ideas, along with the rest of the team. So we come and we try to see why is this malfunctioning and what's not. That's what supporter does. Really and truly, all aspects. Just the design element of it, because coming together and just putting your head into something to design and build something with like a purpose or a problem, I just like that, It's amazing to really use your head, to be honest with you.
My name is Eva Williams. I play the role of engineering as well, like engineering when it comes to anything dealing with the bot or helping and developing and designing the bot as well.
And you, of course, were with the team.
Yes, I was with the team.
What was the experience like?
It was amazing actually. It took a lot of work. We perform we did well. Generally did well. We put our work. We put in everything in, and we're grateful to how we enjoyed while building the bot at the same time.
Yes, I was actually working with First Global with other staff in running the competition. Everybody's there to help run the competition, make sure everything goes smoothly and everything is on time and everything is on schedule, and also you get to learn a lot by being there. My role was a field resetter. We had to make sure all the fields were clear and set up before each competition. We work closely with the referees and judges so that each match we make sure that the fields are clear, so that was very fun working on that, and you get to see a lot of ideas coming out of the young people who participated on the team. You see a lot of solutions to the problems, how they could solve the carbon capture. The theme of the competition was carbon capture, and it was really wonderful display of young people to, help, find solutions, and it was very interesting to see, and I learned a lot.
The St. Kitts and Nevis robotics team made history this year when the first Global Robotics Olympics chose Mr. Brandon Powell as one of the many judges.
One of the unique things that happened this year is that we had one of our members who applied to work with First Global. They were selected as a judge. And so Brandon Powell was selected as a judge. So he worked with First Global to judge a number of the competitions. I had to remind him that he can't be at our station too regularly because he was a judge at the competition. And so Brandon would have functioned in that capacity. Now, that is something that's very important for St. Kitts and Nevis because this is the first time First Global would have identified us as a nation who they find fit to put in that position. And so Brandon held that position and he did extremely well.
Dr. Neal said the Robotics Association has been very active since its inception in 2019 and has grown to over 300 participants. Andre Huey, Skn Newsline. The holiday season is approaching, and now is the time to get the message out about your business. Skn Newsline introduces special advertising rates for the Christmas season with our Christmas specials. You can advertise on the Skn Newsline Newscast or send special holiday greetings to the general public with our Christmas greetings on both Skn Newsline and Voice of the Caribbean Radio at affordable prices. Call our marketing department for more information, 665-7496, or email advertising@sknnewsline.com. 'Tis the season to be jolly, so enjoy our Christmas specials at Skn Newsline and Voice of the Caribbean Radio and promote your business the effective way this holiday season. Your vehicle is very important to you. That's why you should ensure it gets the best service and care possible only at IAS Diagnostic Center, located at Bird Rock behind the Life Fitness Center gym. Come to IAS Diagnostic Center for wheel alignment, rotor cutting, AC servicing, wheel balancing, oil filter change, diagnostic, tire repair and sale, tinting, and much more. With top-of-the-line equipment, come to IAS Diagnostic Center in Bird Rock. Opening hours Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Call 767-4422, 662-4416, or 466-6708. IAS Diagnostic Center for quality care of your vehicle.
Online radio has never been this great. It's Voice of the Caribbean Radio at voiceofthecaribbean.net. Tune into Voice of the Caribbean Radio for great Caribbean programs, news, entertainment, sports, and current affairs. Wake up each morning and be inspired with One Day at a Time with Kim Huey. Stay abreast with news across the Caribbean and internationally with the Caribbean News Hour, and be entertained with shows like Reggaeville, Caribbean Classics, and Jive Music Show. Visit our website, download our Android mobile app, or listen us on TuneIn Radio. There is so much more on Voice of the Caribbean Radio, reaching the Caribbean and beyond. Check website or app for program schedule.
Auto Plus Car Wash, located on the College Street Gut, Bastille, St. Kitts. Bring your car to Auto Plus Car Wash to remove water stains, wiper marks. Get your doors, roof panel cleaned, seat floor mats, buffing, headlights, and engine wash. You get quality service at the best price at Auto Plus Car Wash. They really care for your car. Call 765-5140 or visit them on the College Street Gut, Bastille, St. Kitts. Auto Plus Car Wash, where the service is number one. If you're looking for a place to host that special event, conference, meeting, social event, party, whatever the occasion, your best option is the Millhouse Convention Center in Palmetto Point, St. Kitts. Located on the picturesque Garvey's Estate, the Millhouse Guesthouse Convention Center has enough space for outdoor events overlooking the Caribbean Sea. If you're looking indoors, the center is equipped with amenities needed to make your event a success. And by combining both spaces, you're sure to have a memorable event, no matter the occasion. Call the offices at Millhouse Guest House and Convention Center to book your next event on simply the most beautiful place in St. Kitts. Call 668-1392. Millhouse Convention Center at Garvey's Estate, Palmetto Point, St. Kitts, making your event memorable.
In other news, scores of JLP supporters gathered at the National Arena this afternoon for the 79th staging of the annual party conference. Supporters were ecstatic. They got to meet face-to-face for the first time in 2 years. More details from Veronique Bowen.
Packed to capacity, so much that some supporters were left outside of the conference. The 79th staging of the Jamaica Labour Party conference has been deemed a success by both the party's leaders and the supporters. Several ministers delivered presentations. However, one view stood out, and it's that Prime Minister Andrew Holness will remain Prime Minister for as long as he wants to be. An electrifying atmosphere as scores of JLP supporters brought as much excitement as they brought support for party leader and Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Adorned in green T-shirts with the faces of their Member of Parliament, ringing their famed bells, the supporters told our news team they've waited 2 years to meet again in this capacity. The patrons were also cemented in their belief that PM Holness will be the longest-serving Prime Minister in Jamaica's history, citing a perceived lack of unity within the opposition.
And coming the local government, we are take it. And if we come the general, we are take it, and get more than one term back a term, because the next side, they're not organized yet for them party now.
Listen, I am more than excited. I am very proud of my party, JLP. I'm very proud of my Prime Minister, which I wear the Prime Minister outfit. See there? My Prime Minister this. And I'm representing the Honorable Pride Green. And my eyelash is Prosperity Eyelash. My hairstyle is third term for Andrew Holness.
Party Chairman and Member of Parliament Robert Montague, Party General Secretary and Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang, and Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett were among the speakers who received massive crowd support during their presentations. However, party business wasn't the only matter that solicited crowd reaction, as Member of Parliament and wife of the Prime Minister, Juliet Holness, displayed a brief moment of affection with her husband that left Labourites raving.
The threat posed by climate change to small island developing states like St. Lucia and the need for external support in mitigating against its effects is a refrain continuously sounded by senior officials on local and international platforms. With weather events directly impacting St. Lucia's natural environment and the product of sand and sea forming a pillar of the island's tourism industry, questions on whether a need exists to evolve to ensure survival have been raised. In a conversation with CEO of the SLHTA, Noorani Aziz, held after recent swells proved detrimental to hotel accommodation properties on island, he provided an update on the status of the association's members.
We have done an assessment of the damage that has been done, and for many of our operators it did set us back a couple of days, but I'm happy to report that 99.9% of the operators who were damaged are up and ready to do business, and this is as a result of the tremendous work on the part of our team members. Persons worked day and night to ensure that rooms were gutted, rooms were cleaned, experts were brought in to sanitize, and that we're ready for business. And I'm very proud to say that as a destination, we're open for business, notwithstanding the impact of the floods on our communities and some persons who are very near to our team members. We're working internally to identify these individuals specifically and to release waves of financing through our Tourism Enhancement Fund to provide food, clothing, and in some instances shelter for those persons who have been hardest hit.
According to Aziz, while the effects of the November 6 trough proved damaging, it should serve as a call to action.
It brings home the reality that climate change is a phenomenon that we have to contend with. And so it means for me that it serves as a call to action for the private sector and our citizens to look at our waste disposal habits, what kind of carbon footprint we leave, how we build our communities and how we build our infrastructure so that our country is more resilient, and what we do on a day-to-day business to ply our trade and to earn our living is more sustainable. So if we all put our shoulders to the wheel and treat this as a serious call to action, I believe that we'll be able to accelerate that pace of change that will allow our country to be more resilient to these natural shocks.
The need to rethink tourism emerged as a recent theme of the 2022 observance of World Tourism Day on September 27th. One key principle invoked by the global theme is sustainable development within the industry and creating awareness, discouraging activities responsible for global warming. With tourism accommodation properties often established in coastline locations, positions of increasing vulnerability to rising tides, Aziz addressed the question of whether relocating such properties may be imminent.
The reality is that the business establishments that find themselves very close to shore have some reality checks to explore right now. How they safeguard their enterprises, the impact of insurance costs on their readiness to do business, business decisions that they have to make internally. As a country, indeed, we have to take a stronger look at our building codes. We have to look more closely at where we build our communities as well, in how we build out livelihoods that are very dependent on entities along the shoreline. And so we have to take a very strong look at these systems because what has allowed us to progress over the past 45, 50 years is going to have to change radically to allow us to progress over the next 50 years.
The SLHTA CEO notes adjustments will be required to keep up with ongoing changes.
So much is changing, not only ecologically or climate-wise, but the way we do business is changing. The opportunities in the world of work that's emerging for our young people is changing. Therefore, the things we have done traditionally to plan for retirement are being flipped on their heads right now. And we have to take stock of that. So even within the association at the SLHTA, that reality and that preparation, that strategy and those discussions are guided by our internal Human Resource Advisory Committee, on which we have over 25 human resource development and management experts from within the industry representing the biggest brands, providing guidance and support to the Secretariat.
Looking to the future, Aziz notes that strategies embraced to address climate change and other challenges need to be made in the best interest of all. Hiba Taliam, NBC Prime.
Wounded and dazed, these are some of the people injured when a magnitude 5.6 earthquake struck their town in West Java. While some seek treatment at a hospital, others are waiting for news of their loved ones. This footage posted on social media shows the aftermath at a boarding school, and authorities say potentially thousands of houses are damaged. Communications in the affected areas are disrupted, and many roads are also blocked.
There is still an area that has not been evacuated, which is Mangun, because the road is completely blocked due to a landslide.
The earthquake jolted the Indonesian capital around 100 kilometres from the epicenter. Evacuation orders were issued for thousands of people in Jakarta's central business district. Witnesses report seeing some high-rise buildings swaying for several minutes.
It was so strong, as if someone had pushed me.
Indonesia is prone to natural disasters. It sits on the Ring of Fire, an arc of volcanoes and fault lines in the Pacific Basin. Authorities are urging people to remain vigilant for possible aftershocks. Jessica Washington, Al Jazeera, Jakarta.
Former South African President Jacob Zuma may be heading back to jail after the country's appeal court today ruled that he was unlawfully granted medical parole last year. At the time, the controversial 80-year had served only 2 months of a 15-month jail term for contempt of court. The parole was granted by the head prison service, despite an opinion by its own medical committee that Zuma did not meet the required conditions. He was jailed for refusing to testify at a high-level inquiry into mass state corruption that unfolded during his presidency. Zuma became president in 2009 but was forced to step down in 2018 following mounting corruption allegations. It's not definite, however, that the former president will return to jail. He still has recourse to the Constitutional Court, the highest in the country's judicial system.
It is my stated opinion that had the football fans at Wednesday night's grand finals in the primary schools football tournament been asked to pay $20 per person after the fact for the treat that was given to them by the young footballers on Nevis, absolutely no one would have hesitated. Such was the level of intensity and skill demonstrated by the youngsters in the two games played. The bumper crowd at the Eataway Park almost replicated what is normally seen at the inter-primary school mini-Olympic event. By the time the second game, which was a grand finale between the Charleston Primary School and the St. James's Primary School commenced, the ETW was a sea of colors. The support for both teams was vociferous. Charleston Primary struck the back of the net first, and their support crew went wild. Then St. James's Primary equalized just moments to half-time, and their support crew was equally frenetic. An error by the goalkeeper saw the Charleston Primary getting a free kick from close range, and this was promptly bumped home by Kashim Taylor. The minutes were ticking away, but then a sizzler from Justin Williams from long range was headed straight to goal when one of the Charlestown defenders tried to head it out, and it inadvertently slammed into the back of the net. The score 2-2 at regulation time. The officials then declared that the match would be determined on penalty kicks. Charlestown Primary won with a scoreline of 4-3 from St. James's, and operations began. Primary had indeed secured honours for 2022. Charlestown's goalie, who had been super game, Nicholas Hero, was adjudged the game's MVP. A brief presentation immediately after the final game, chaired by Senior Sports Officer Carl Tuckett. Officials assisting with the Honourable Eric Evelyn, the Honourable Troy Leiber, Secretary Kevin Barrett, Principal Education Officer, and patron of the tournament, Andre Brown. The following awards were made. Best Female Footballer, Teja Mills of St. James's Primary, was made of Destiny Hus Academy. Best Young and Upcoming Footballers of the Charleston Primary. Fair Play Award, Montessori Academy. Goalkeeper, Nicholas Hero of Charleston Primary. Best Defender, Teshawn Bolas of St. Most goals for the tournament, Kashim Taylor of the Charleston Primary with 8 goals. The event, Kashim Taylor of the Charleston Primary. Third place team, St. Thomas's Primary. Second place team, Primary. And the 2022 champions, the Charlestown Primary. The third placers between the St. Thomas's Primary School and the Joycelyn Libert Primary. Libert Primary School commenced the game in scintillating fashion, hitting the back of the net twice within of the game. However, the second half belonged to the St. Thomas's Primary, as they not only equalized but put in a telling third goal to put the matter beyond. The St. Thomas's Primary therefore securing us.
Welcome to the Skn Newsline Weather Report. I am Janil Bull. Here is a look at the forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. more detailed weather report, visit our website at www.sknnewsline.com.